until it comes late, but he speaks the
trust blindly in the spectacle. You see, in the United States of America, and since I'm a U.S. citizen, that's what I must address my experience from. It is protective of the U.S. flag. Oh, you mustn't mess with the U.S. flag. Yet the U.S. flag is just a symbol. It's supposed to represent freedom. Yet when the police can stop you on the street with no probable cause and no search warrant, then honoring the flag, worshiping the flag, is just worshiping the image of freedom and not freedom itself. We have the right to peacefully assemble. Yet the police freely, and it seems to be the only freedom we have, is for the police to freely beat us over the head. And we have a U.S. constitutional right to assemble, to peacefully assemble. The police can still beat your head in for it. That's giving lip service to freedom and beating down actual freedom. So this event that I'm going to tell you about now happens because Christians, and the Christian religion allows you to be a Christian, you have to hold two thoughts in your head at the same time. Jesus says, kill, 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 and Jesus is love, love, love. When you can hold those two opposite thoughts in your head, newspeak, then you're ready to worship freedom and pay only lip service to it. It's because, you see, Christians worship Jehovah, but they don't follow the rules Jehovah set down. They don't follow the commandments. They just give lip service to it. They go to church every Sunday and pretend they're Pharisees. They're pretending to be Christian. And they get away with it. Trusting blindly. Here's what I wrote. As I worked at this Fortune 500 corporation's factory, the attitude towards workers and management policy changed. Suddenly we're all criminals and treated as such. One policy change that was implemented was the locker policy. Suddenly we were all dopeheads and thieves, so we could no longer have a private lock on our lockers. I'm going to deviate from my script here a little bit. You see, we were allowed to have put our own locks that we bought on our lockers. So that meant that only we could get in our locker as far as opening it. Now, a locker has slits in it, and you can push dope and pencils and all manner of things through those slots. So it wasn't secure as it could be, but it was. You could put your coat in the locker, lock your lock, and no one could take your coat without tearing the locker up. Okay, management assigned us lockers, and the only locker locker's users and the personnel manager had a key to your assigned locker. When management held a meeting, this is the policy that they changed. Suddenly we weren't trustworthy, and management assigned us lockers, and only the locker user and the personnel manager had a key. Before, only we had the key to our locker. Now we had the key, and the personnel manager had a key to every locker that was given to the workers. She had a master lock. When management held a meeting with each department in the factory, the question and answer period was my opportunity to comment. I asked the personnel manager if she would also have a key to my locker. She said yes, she would have a key to my locker. She and I would be the only two people with a key. I then had my comment. I told her if they found drugs in my locker, that she would have to be the one that put them there. She was shocked at the suggestion. What's wrong, John? Don't you trust me? I replied that trust was a two-way street. If management didn't trust me to have my own private lock on my locker, why should I trust someone in management with access to my locker? Management was no longer trusting me, but she was shocked that I wasn't trusting management. Like, someone in management couldn't be a thief and a dopehead and putting dope in your locker because maybe we had a union, so maybe you wrote a grievance against your foreman, so he gets pissed and he goes up into the personnel manager's office and said, hey, put these drugs in so-and-so's office. He wrote a grievance against me, and it's the 100th grievance he's wrote. I'm pissed off at him. Put this stuff in his locker, and then we'll fire him for being a dopehead. That could happen, but she's acting like, what, you mean, even though we don't trust you, you should trust us. And this goes out into society. You have all these surveillance cameras all around. Well, they're watching you, but who's watching them watching you? And let me tell you something. I'm an electronic engineer. And we are having advancements in augmented reality. We're having advancements in all kinds of techniques. Virtual reality. So, let's say you're a dissident or a protester. Sometime in the future, if they may well have the technology now, it may be secret and they're not using it yet, or maybe they have used it, we'll never know. But the advancement in virtual reality, augmented reality, will allow them to put your voice on tape, on videotape, put your body into any situation. In other words, you're a dissident, they want to arrest you, so they put you in a robbery scene where you're robbing a bank. Well, it's your voice on the tape. It's your physical body shown on the tape. So you're guilty, right? Surely the police are trustworthy, even though the police have surveillance cameras everywhere and they wiretap citizens and they don't trust us. We're naturally supposed to trust them, right? Police in almost every community violate the Constitution all the time. Here's one example, just one example. I'm all the time reading in the newspaper how a police drunk checkpoint catches people drunk driving. Now, mind you, you have to go through this checkpoint. It's set up on the highway. Let's say it's a 2-lane highway. They block both sides of the road, and you have to go through them. You have to stop. They give you the breathalyzer test, and you have to do it. If you refuse to do it, you're arrested. If you blow into the alcohol tester and you blow that over the allowable limit, you're drunk, they arrest you, or they fine you. More likely you're going to get a fine. But that's illegal. There was no probable cause. In other words, if the police are going down the street, down the road, and you're weaving across the yellow line, across the middle line, you're running off the road sometimes, they have probable cause. You have demonstrated that you may be drunk. So they have the right, according to the Constitution of the United States, to pull you over. They have probable cause. But if you're going down the road and you're not speeding, you're not driving erratically, in other words, you show every sign of being not drunk, of being sober. They can't pull you over and test you because they think you might be drunk. And there's no evidence that they've seen to suggest that you're drunk. We are supposed to be secure in our persons and our papers. They can't just stop you on the street and say, papers please. They can't stop you on the street and say, blow into this alcohol tester. I think you're drunk. I'm checking that you're not drunk. I'm checking that you're sober. They can't do that. It's against the Constitution. Just like going into Iraq is against the U.S. Constitution. Congress has to declare war. Congress is the only part of the government that can declare war. It's in the Constitution. Yet we've been in Iraq and the Middle East now for 10 years straight with no declaration of war. And we've been fighting a war there for 10 straight years. And before that, we were over there in Operation Desert Storm. So we've been bombing the hell out of the Middle East for 30 years. And before that, we were in Vietnam. Yet another undeclared war. And that means it's illegal, people. It's illegal. George W. Bush, President Obama, are war criminals. Their administration are war criminals. Back when Johnson was fighting the Vietnam War, he was a war criminal. And Nixon, when he went in and kept the war going for 6 or 7 more years, he became a war criminal. What happened to him? He went on to write books, make millions of dollars. He didn't suffer the consequences of his illegal actions. But you walk into a grocery store, a convenience store, and you steal a 50-cent candy bar, and you'll do 20 years for that. Well, I see here you've stole. This is your 3rd time stealing a candy bar. We're going to give you 20 years now. But if you had been president and started killing people in another country illegally, well, you get out of the presidency, write some books, become a millionaire. Because that's not as worse as stealing a 50-cent candy bar. Killing people illegally, that's okay.